So today we will discuss, yesterday we discussed a few problems on pointers and arrays and how to pass arrays to functions and how to use pointers with 1D arrays. So today we will see how we can use pointers with 2D arrays. The concept gets a little difficult here when we talk about pointers with 2D arrays. We will see what we have done so far in pointers and 1D arrays. We have seen pointers and 1D arrays and how arrays can act as pointers. We also saw the relationship between arrays and pointers, as well as we saw pointer arithmetic, that is the plus plus or plus 2, pointer plus 2, plus minus 2, something like that. You can do only addition or subtraction with the addresses, that is pointer arithmetic. We saw all these topics with respect to 1D arrays. So all pointers with respect to we made our pointer point to 1D array, and then we did all these operations, all kind of operations. Okay. So now we will move on to how we can use pointer notation with 2D arrays, or how we can use 2D arrays as pointers. Okay. So we will see these concepts. First is pointer to an array, revision of 2D arrays. We have done 2D arrays earlier, so we will just revise them quickly once. And then we will see pointer to 2D arrays. Okay. So this is a pointer to an array. Okay. We already know what a pointer to a integer is, or pointer to a variable is of a particular type. What we have done so far is we have created a pointer of a particular type and we are assigning it an address. Okay. The address was the base address of an array, of a 1D array. Okay. Now consider this array B, which is given here. Now what is a pointer to an array? Now this is something different from what we have seen so far. What we have seen was a pointer to an int, or a pointer to a float, a pointer to a particular variable. That pointer is pointing to only one such address. Okay. Now what is pointer to an array? Pointer to an array is actually a pointer which points to the entire array as a whole. So this that we have seen here, this is the way of declaring a pointer to an array. So you put into parenthesis star, your usual star pointer notation, give it a name, and into square brackets you put the size of the array to which it is to point. So you want this pointer to point to this entire array B. So what you do is you put the size of that array here in square brackets. So when you want to point it to the entire array, then the expression will change. The expression will change to this. The expression will become PTR is equal to address of B. Okay. So if I do a PTR plus plus, so what do you think the answer should be? PTR is equal to address of B. That means the address of the entire array. It is not address of B of 0, or it is not B. It is not B. It is not only B. Okay. It is address of B. And address of B means the entire array's address. So you consider this array B as a whole, and then find out the address of this array. When you find out the address in this way, the address automatically becomes the base address, the base address of the array, or the address of the first element of the array. The answer for the address will be the same, but remember that this pointer is a pointer to the entire array. So if you advance this pointer, if you do a PTR plus plus, what should it be? What is a PTR plus plus? It points to the next memory location, right? It always points to the next memory location when we do a pointer plus plus. But now the next memory location as such will be the next array, the next 10 integers, the next set of 10 integers. So when I do a PTR plus plus, it will automatically point to something after this. after 1036. Okay, so this is your scope of the entire array. PTR is this. PTR is pointing to this array, and by default it takes the base address, that is 1000. When you do PTR plus plus, it will not become 1004 because it is not a normal pointer to an int. It is a pointer to the entire integer array. It will not become 1004. In fact, it will become 1000 plus 10 memory locations. It will advance by 10 memory locations here. Okay, it will advance by the size of this entire array rather. So the answer should be, if you are following these addresses, the answer should be 1040. Okay. Now, at this point, what we will do is we will see a simple program which will demonstrate the difference between pointer to an int and pointer to an array. So we will go to that program. Okay, this is our program. So pointer to an int is this pointer, which we know. We have used this pointer to an int star p. What is pointer to an array of 10 integers? It is int star PTR of 10. Okay, so this is the same example that we have seen. Okay, what we are doing is, for p, how do you assign the value? You assign p is equal to b. This is the way you make the pointer p point to just one element of the array, and that is the first element. When you say b, it will point to the 0th element of b, right? It will point to this element. It will contain the address of this. Now, when I write this, PTR is equal to address of b, it will point to the whole array b, and if we do a p plus plus, it will advance by only one memory location. That is, you will get this element address. And if you do a PTR plus plus, then it will advance by the entire array's size. It will update itself by the entire array's size. Okay, so this will update the address by an integer size, right? Integer address, and this will update by integer times 10 because the array size is 10. Okay, now let us run this and see. So what we are doing is we are printing PTR and p values initially, whatever the addresses are, and after we do the advance, so we will understand whether they are same or no. Okay, so okay, so we compile the program. Now let us see what the values are. So before I did the update, this was a printf statement, okay, and after the update, this is the printf statement. So before we do the update, so this is the address of p, that is the base address. Similarly, PTR's address also will be the same. I told you that PTR, though it is pointing to the entire array, what is the address of that array? It is always the base address. The address of the array is always the base address. Okay? But when I do this p plus plus, then what do I get? I get, this was F0. Look at this. This address was EF0. Now it has become EF4. So 4, it's hex addresses. This is hexadecimal format. Okay. So by 4 bytes, it has increased. Okay. That is the size of an integer. On the other hand, if you notice this address was EF0 and now it is F18. So if you see hexadecimal addresses, I will show that to you. Okay. So initially B of 0 was going to this program. It is B of 0 is EF0, right? EF0. So we will see these last 3 digits. So B of 1 will be where? It will be at the next location 4 bytes. So EF4, right? EF4. You know, I hope you know hexadecimal format 0 to 9 and A to F. I hope you know. Give me a yes on the chat window. Yes. So hexadecimal format. So EF0, next element is on EF4. Similarly, next will be EF8. So if you continue this, okay, you will get these addresses in between. So this F is done with, right? FC, we are at FC. FC में 4 add करो, add 4. D, E, F, and we are done with all FF, right? EFF we are done. So this will change. E, this will become 0, this will become 0, and this E will be promoted to F. So you have, when you add 4 to it, 4 to this, you will get F00. Okay. Then again F04, F08, and so on. Then again we are done with zeros, so we will move to 1. So 10, 14, 18. So now if you notice that the last element that we have was at location B9, right? The array size is 10. 10 elements. Array contains 10 elements. So the last element is at B9. So logically, what will be the, now you know it is all contiguous. All the array elements are stored in contiguous locations. So after that, the next element, there is no element as such because the array is initialized for that part itself, but memory is still there. So the next memory address that you will have will be F18. Okay, although this whatever is there in F18 is of no use, it is garbage, it is of no use to us, but still when we do a PTR plus plus, we reach here. Okay, that is what is happening in this program. When we do a PTR plus plus, we reach here. Okay, so any doubts so far? What will reside at EF? Okay, your array is an integer array, so each element occupies 4 bytes, right? Size of the integer is 4 bytes, Aniket. So the next element of the array will not be at EF1, it will be at EF4. So 4 bytes will be saved. First byte of the integer, that integer will be converted to binary internally in memory, and it will be saved in terms of zeros and ones, right? So it will occupy a 4 byte space. No, EF1 exists. EF1 exists in memory, but it is being occupied by the integer. Had it been a character, then I would get the next address as EF1. If the type of my array was a character, then it will give me EF1 as the next address. When I do, for this you have to revise your pointer arithmetic. If I do a pointer plus plus, it always, or if I do an array of 0 and then I do an array of 1, it will always give me the next integer's address. So the first integer starts at that address, some address, and goes up till 4 byte address. Each address is 1 byte. Each address is 1 byte. It exists. In memory, it exists. Okay. So now, let us see how to dereference the pointer to an array. You know the dereferencing symbol is the star operator, right? The star operator is the dereferencing operator. So with respect to the previous example, what should be the value of star PTR? We know that in this program, when we do star P, I know what is the value. If I write a star P, I immediately know the value. Now after a P plus plus, initially star P will give me 5, right? The value at this address. And if I do P plus plus and after that I do a star P, I will get 2 as the answer. But the question is, now that I have a pointer to an array, that is star PTR, what will be star PTR of 10, right? It's a pointer to an array of 10 integers. So what will star PTR give me? What will this expression give me? So this expression is nothing but star of address of B, right? Because PTR is address of B. Now this star and address, these cancel out. If you remember, what is PTR? PTR is address of B. Can you see this? PTR is address of B. Okay. So when I write star of address of when I write star of PTR, this PTR you just replace with address of B, right? Then what will star PTR become? This star and address of these operators, they cancel out. They are complementary operators. What you remain with is B. Okay. So what you remain with is B. And what is this B? B is nothing but address of B of 0. So it is a base address of the array, right? So the expression star PTR will give me the address. It will not give me any value. It will give me the base address of the array. So or it will give me the address of the 0th element of the array. Okay. So quickly the program we will see for this. This is our usual, the same array we have taken. Now, what we have done is, these are the assignments. P is B and PTR is star of B, address of B. P is equal to star P, PTR is star P. I'm so sorry, %P for printing in hex format. P and PTR. So what we are printing is the values of the expression P, PTR, star P and star PTR. P and PTR, by now you should know what the answer is because we have done this earlier. And this will give me the dereferencing. Okay. So further what we have done is we have printed the size of P, star P, PTR and star PTR to understand the difference in the sizes. Okay, we will see that. We will run this program. GCC dereferences. Okay. So we know that both P and PTR points to the it will give me the same address, the base address of the array. Although they are different, the expression will give me the address only. Okay, because there's some address pointers. I used to show some address. So in this case, it will give the base address only. Next, star P is equal to 5. Right, as expected. We know star P, when we write star P, it will give me this value. But when I write star of PTR, it will give me the address of this location, the base address. As you saw in the explanation, that this will give me the base address. Now, next is size of P. When I write size of P, it will give me 4 bytes, right? Size of star P will also give me 4 bytes because P, what is P? P is a pointer. Pointer's size will be equal to the memory address, 4 bytes. Okay. Size of star P will also be equal to 4 bytes because it's the size of an integer. See, the memory addresses, this is a 32-bit version of the compiler. So memory addresses here will be 32-bit or 4 bytes. So wherever there are memory addresses like this and this, these are memory addresses, right? P and PTR are memory addresses. It will give me 4 bytes. But when I do star of P, it will give me the size of an integer. And size of the integer is also 4 bytes. So that is why this is giving me 4. Okay. Now size of star PTR, if you notice, this gives me something different, and that is 40. So how does this come out to be 40? Because size of star PTR is the entire arrays. Star PTR is the entire array. okay, of 10 elements, and each element is 4 bytes. So 4 into 10, it will give me 40 bytes. Okay, size of PTR is 4, but size of star PTR is 40. Since star PTR is the entire array, it will give me 40. Okay, it has to be the size of the entire array. Okay, since it is containing the entire array. And PTR gives me only the base address of that array, so it will be 4. So this is about pointers to arrays. So this is something which is there. This is a little difficult to grasp actually, this concept. You will have to see this. You have to play around with this. You have to try with different types. So now I have explained integers. So you write one program. I will pass this program to you, of course. You write one program with char type, some float type, and see how this will work. Just change this. So you will learn it that way. Okay. And after this, we will see how do we do pointer arithmetic with 2D arrays. Okay. So for that, let us revise 2D arrays. Okay, this is my 2D array, which is initialized and declared here itself. Okay, so this is the how the array looks like. This is how you declare it and initialize at the same time. So it is an array consisting of 9 elements. Okay, basically 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay. Now remember that for declaring 2D arrays, it is mandatory to specify the size of the number of columns. Okay, row column, right? It's the first square bracket is row and second is column. So you have to specify the size of the column. So how many elements should be there in each row, that you need to specify. Okay. Now in memory, you know that a 2D array is stored as an array of arrays. You can assume that as a large array which consists of 1D array. Okay, the entire array, this entire array, you can see this entire array A, it consists of several such 1D arrays. How many such 1D arrays? Row number of 1D arrays. Okay, so since this array A is consisting of 3 rows, there are 3 rows. One, this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row. In memory, these rows are stored one after the other. This is how it is stored in memory. So you should remember this. You should revise this by now. Revise and remember that this stores one after the other the rows of the array. So in row major, or you say in row major order, it is saved in memory, because memory is contiguous. It is just a sequence of addresses. Memory is just a sequence of memory addresses. Okay, so everything will be stored one after the other. There is no 2D something that is formed in memory magically, right? Only for our understanding and from the programming point of view, we assume that the 2D array becomes a matrix so that we can visualize it better. Okay. So, and we know how to access the elements. Everyone knows how to access the elements using the row number and the column number. So this is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 2. So this is the first row. This is the first 1D array. This is the second 1D array. This is the third 1D array. Okay. And if you want to visualize it in your convenient way, so this is the way, right? This is the first row, 5, 2, 1. Next row is, right, this one, 6, 3, 4. Next row is 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now, when I write the expression A, now you should know about these, how to understand these expressions. When I'm working with a 2D array, it is assumed by the compiler as an array of arrays. Okay. So when I write A, the expression A, it will mean the address of the first row, first 1D array. It will give me the it will point to, you can say this expression A will point to the first 1D array. Okay, and when I do A plus 1, when I write an expression A plus 1, it will advance by the first row. Okay, it will always advance row wise. Now for this you have to remember the last concept that we saw, PTR plus plus. When we did PTR plus plus, it was advanced by 10 bytes, 10 locations, 10 integers, because the size of that array was 10 and that pointer was a pointer to an array. So basically this A is a pointer to an array. When I write the expression A, it is a pointer to an array and it is a pointer to the first element of the array. Okay, the base element. Now again, I will tell you how to visualize this. This is your array, this is your entire 2D array, which consists of multiple 1D arrays. The entire 2D array consists of multiple 1D arrays. So you can imagine that this array is a sequence of arrays, right? So the first element of this 2D array is an array. The second element of the 2D array is another array. The third element is yet another array, right? So superset is the 2D array, and the subsets, you can say, one after the children of this are 1D arrays. Okay, I'll show this in the hierarchy form. So I have at the hierarchy, I have this entire 2D array. Okay, this 2D array consists of one 1D array, the next 1D array, and the next 1D array. So this is the parent, right? This is the parent. Inside this there are children, 1, 2, 3. Each of these are 1D arrays. Okay, you have to visualize it that way. So this 2D array consists of 3 elements which are arrays themselves, which are 1D arrays themselves. Okay. Now when you visualize it this way, when I write A, the expression A, it will give me the first child. I can say if A is nothing but A plus 0. A plus 0 is the first element. Okay. Or A of 0. When I say A of 0, it will give me the first element. Okay. When I write A of 0, it will give me the first element. That is this entire array. This entire array's address. When I say A plus 1, it will give me this element. And when I say A plus 2, it will give me this element. Now, when you see that each of these elements are arrays, when each of these elements only are arrays, then what does A mean? A will mean the base address of that array. A will mean the base address of this array, of the first array, of the 0th array. A plus 1 will be the base address of the second array, and A plus 2 will be the base address of the third array. So the answer for this will be, A will be an address, value will be 1000. Address, the value of A will be 1000. It will give me this element's base address. Then A plus 1 will give me 1012, this element's base address. And A plus 2 will give me 1024, this element's base address. Okay. So in general, what you can do is you can write A plus I, A plus 0, A plus 1, A plus 2. In the last example, A plus 0 is nothing but A plus 1 and A plus 2, right? So in general, A plus I will point to the ith element of A, which will point to the ith 1D array. Okay, ith element, we saw the hierarchy, each of the elements are 1D arrays. Okay, so ith element of A, which is nothing but the ith 1D array. And now, if you write star of A plus I, if you write star of A plus I, you will get the base address of the ith 1D array. So if you remember, we saw the same concept with this. Okay, so when we wrote PTR, PTR is the entire array B, right? And when we write star PTR, we are dereferencing. We get the base address of that element. Although both the array's address as well as the base address are the same addresses. Okay. So the same concept is applied here. The star of A plus I will give me the base address of the ith 1D array, or it will point to the 0th element of the ith 1D array. So for example, in this figure, if I say star of A plus 1, it will give me the base address of this element. So it will give me the base address of this array basically. Okay. So that means it will give me the base address of the address of this element, that is nothing but 1012. The answer will be 1012. It will be an address. So both the expressions A plus 1 as well as star A plus 1, star of bracket A plus 1 will give me 1012 as the answer. Okay. So you have to look at this. A plus I is, it points to the entire ith 1D array. Okay. And star of A plus I will give me the address of the 0th element of the ith 1D array. But this is not enough, right? Via the pointer notation, what we have to do is we have to access the individual elements. Otherwise, how will we process the matrix, right? Like how we process the array in the previous examples that we saw, we have processed the array via the pointers. We did all kinds of operations like reversing a string and adding alternate elements or adding odd number of elements or whatever operations we did were using a pointer, right? So the same operations we should be able to extract the individual elements now. We are done with the addresses. We have seen, okay, this gives me the address. Star A also gives me the address. But now if I want to access the individual element, what do I need to do? So the answer to this is you need to advance one to the right, right? So you need to add the column value as well. What we have done so far is we have used ij. I is the row index and j is the column index. So you have to use the column value as well. So for the column value, what we do is we need to introduce j. So going back to this, if I write A, it points to the 0th 1D array. If I write star A, it points to the 0th element of the 0th 1D array. Okay. If I write A plus I, it points to the ith 1D array. If I write star A plus I, star of whole A plus I, it will point to the 0th element of the ith 1D array. Now, if I introduce j, if I introduce a column number here, I'll be able to navigate to the jth column. So this will be points to the jth element of the ith 1D array. And if I do a star of this, if I do a dereferencing of this, I'll get the value at that address. This is the address. This is the address of that element in that row, and this will be the value. This will be the value. Okay. So let me just show this figure. When I say star A, what is it? It is the address of this. Address of the 0th element of the 0th 1D array, right? That is star A. When I do a star of A plus 2, it will be what? It will be the 0th address of the 0th element of the second 1D array. Okay, second 1D array. When I do a star of A plus 2 plus 2, now what you're doing here is you are introducing a j here. So this was this j, here the j was a 0, plus 0. You can imagine this as a plus 0. Next column, you can imagine that as a plus 1. Next column, you can imagine that as a plus 2. So if you introduce a j value here, you say 2, it will mean the address of this element, address of 9. Okay, whatever it is, 1036. The last element address was 1000 and whatever it was. Okay, and if I want to get the value, what do? I simply dereference it. So I just put a star here. So if I put a star here, I will simply get this value. Now I know this is a bit confusing for all of you. You will have to go through it and understand. So what you need to remember for now is these expressions. What is A? First of all, imagine 2D array as a sequence of 1D arrays, as a collection of 1D arrays, one after the other, row wise. First row, second row, third row. Okay. Next, what you do is when you write the array name as it is the 0th 1D array. When you write star of A, it will be the 0th element of the 1D array. Okay. So this generic expression you should know, A plus I and star of A plus I. So when you say A plus I, I will take value 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. That I is nothing but the row number. I is nothing but the row number. When I write A of I, it means it is address of A of I. Okay, address of A of I, which is nothing but the address of the entire ith row. Okay, address of the entire ith row is the base address of that ith row. Okay, and star of A plus I is nothing but address of the 0th element of the ith 1D array. Okay, so ith row, so this row, again it will give me the exact base address. Next, this when I say plus j, when I introduce the column index, it becomes address of A of I j. So when I say star of A plus I, this in bracket plus j, in that row only you are moving j locations ahead in the same row. So in this row, suppose j is a 2. Okay, j is a 2 in this row. Suppose you are in this row. Okay, you are in star of A plus 2 in this row. If you add j as 2, so it will be one location in this array, second location. So where do you reach? You reach this element. So this element's address you reach. You have reached this element's address. Okay, and then when you do a star of that whole address, it will give me the value at that address. Now, for this, there is a simple matrix multiplication program which I have written. Okay, which I will show it to you quickly. I know this one lecture is not sufficient, but this is a if possible, I might take one more lecture on this, so that if you still have doubts, we can discuss. Okay, this is matrix multiplication using pointers. Okay, so here what we are doing is we are having first functions for reading and printing. So this is the first array, this is the second array, and the row and the column, you need to specify the dimensions. And then this is your usual scanf. And when you're scanning, you are using the pointer notation now. Now, you just remember that expression, the generic expression. Star of P plus I will give me the ith row, okay? Ith row, row's address. And in that row, the jth column, if I want, I do a plus j. So in this row, ith row, the jth column. Okay, so first I'll need 0, 0. Now remember, this is an address. So what do I write in scanf? I write an address. If I am not using the pointer notation, what would this expression be? This would have been address of, suppose this I'm using the array notation only. It will be address of P of ij, right? This will be the expression. This expression is the same as this expression. Star of P plus I will give me the address of the ith row, right? That is a 1D array. In that row, I want the jth column's address. That is what we want. So ij, so it will give me the address of that element, address of element ij. Okay. So this expression is equivalent to this expression. For scanf. Now for printf, how it will change? I need to print the value at that address. So printing the value, I would have written P of ij. I would have, in a normal way, I would have written P of ij, right? Printf P of ij. But now what I will write it as star of this address. If I do a star of this address, I'll dereference it. I'll get the value at that location, right? I'll get the value at that location P of ij. So this will give me the value at that location. And when I come here, when I do the multiplication, PQ are the matrices and R will be the result where I want to save it. Okay. So M1, M2 and N1, N2 row M1 cross N1 and M2 cross N2 are the dimensions of P and Q. Okay. So we do that check. The number of N1 should not should be equal to M2. If it is not, then you cannot multiply the two matrices. The number of columns of the first matrix should be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. Otherwise, you cannot multiply them. Okay. So now, once this condition is true, that means this is false. This condition is false. Then it will come here. Otherwise, it will return from this function without multiplying. And then here your usual logic, 3 loops, I, J, K. Okay, some we have taken. Now this is what you should remember. Just replace that PIK right? PIK that is the expression. PIK that is the expression. Just replace that with the pointer notation. You just have to remember that. So star of P plus I plus K, star of P plus I plus K will give me the address at IK. And this address is value I need. So there will be a double star, star of star. And then I multiply this value with star of star. Again, this will give me the address at this location, QKJ. This expression will give me the address, this expression will give me the address at location QKJ. And then star of that will give me the value. Okay. So once I do this, I'll get the sum. And once I get the sum, what I will do is simply outside I have written that sum should go into the R matrix. R is my resultant matrix. So Rij, because the indices for R are Ij, right? So the same expression. I could have replaced this only with R of Ij. Okay. And here instead of sum, I should have written star of Ij, this expression equal to 0. Just to make things simple, just so that I don't have to write it again and again. This expression is a huge expression. So I have written it here. Okay, so for working with matrices, you simply need to use these expressions. So you have to sort of remember these expressions. You can always calculate. I want to show more about this, so that how you can actually decipher this, how you can just do the dereferencing part. Whenever there's a star, you replace this A with what? A will be address of A of 0, 0, and then you do all that kind of dereferencing and stuff and get to the actual address. I want to show that, but it's not possible in this lecture. So what you do is, one more lecture I want to take, so I'll tell you this week only I have to schedule it. I will tell you one slot where I will show the entire mathematics behind this. So how you get the value or how you get that address, I'll show it in detail using example, and then what we will do is we will understand it better. Okay. So then this program, again we have done reading of the matrices, printing of the matrices. I just hard coded it to 3x2, 2x4, and then finally you call the matrix multiplication function. So you can just go through this program. I will send this today only. All the programs that were discussed yesterday and today, I will send this today. Just go through them. Maybe this week, Friday or some date, I'll just consult with you only, or your timetable. I will check and I will ask you which slot I can keep that lecture. Okay. So we will. I will just share. Could you explain the last part where we save the elements? What last part? Okay, lab ESE. As of now, this week we are advised not to conduct it, but we'll be getting some instructions regarding conduction. So as of now, you will not have it in this week, lab ESE. If whenever it will take place, it will be after the instructions. So this week will be a practice lab session. You can try these programs that I give you. This also, because 2 terms you have. So one of the terms you can try this. So this Wednesday you will not have the lab ESE quiz. the multiplication where it happens and then where we save it. The multiplication, basically, you know it is IKKJ, that you must be knowing, right? This logic, you know, in the array notation, this will be, I'll just write it here. Sum plus equal to P of I, K, you will write it this way, right? Into Q of KJ. ये तो पता है ना आपको, you know this, right, Prabhat? So instead of P of IK, what should be the expression using pointers that you have to find? Okay. So the expression is simply ith row, kth column. So first you go to the ith row. To go to the ith row, you need to write P plus I. Okay. But you need the address of that, and then you need the value from the address, right? So, so what you do is star of P plus I will give me the base address, the 0th element address in this array, ith array, in the ith row. Okay. And if I want to get the kth element address, that means the column, the kth element in that row, that means the column index. So I do a plus k. So I do a plus k here. Once I do a plus k here, what happens is I will get the address. So this expression will be nothing but address of P of ik. It will be this address of P of ik. And if I want to get the value, what do? It will be a star of this, the star of this entire expression. So when I do a star of this, I will get P of ik. So I just put a star outside this entire bracket. So this is my entire bracket. This is my bracket, right? And I put a star outside, sorry. This is my bracket. And outside this I put a star. Star of this will give me the value at that address. That is P of ik. Similarly for Q of kj. Similarly for R of ij. Okay. So this I will explain in that lecture, last lecture, more clearly. Some of you must not have understood because I went a bit fast with this, but I had to finish this. Okay. Attendance, for attendance, I am sharing the form. Just give me a minute, I am sharing the form. So I've sent the form.